Hello YouTube, welcome to my channel. My name is Jeremy D'Souza, that is Maverick, that is Flanker, both my motorcycles. If you are new to the channel, I have to introduce you to it. But today we're going to answer questions from subscribers, that is you, the questions that you all have put on my last post. And I must say, overwhelming response. So I will answer your questions. Let's head out for a motor vlog. I also have to drop off some papers at the bank. जितना पैसा नहीं है उतना तो document है. I always wonder why do people go to the bank so much when there's no money. If you don't have a bag and you need to keep documents, obviously you can keep it here, but inside your shirt. The other person should not smell the paper though. So the first few questions that I'm going to answer is on the RS200 NS. So Philbert Suarez asked me, should I buy the NS or RS200 now or wait for the upcoming Pulsar 250 models? Okay, let's take this one first. So Philbert, the honest answer would be, since you've chosen basically these three motorcycles and all of them are Bajajes and they're all Pulsars, we don't know what the 250 is going to be like, but we do know what the NS and the RS stands for. So if you want a motorcycle that doesn't have a lot of features, is very raw in nature, easy to fix, easy to maintain, not that expensive as of now, a mature product basically, the NS is a very good option. It doesn't have all the additional weight of the RS and it still gets the FI motor of the RS with that one extra horsepower. At this point it's very refined, it's very fuel efficient, it gets good tires now. So the NS has come a long way, and that's why I would recommend the NS over the RS, because you really need to love certain things about the RS to buy the RS. But talking about the NS 250 or whatever the 250 Pulsars are that are going to come, they are going to be 250cc machines, but they are not going to be as technologically advanced as the RS or the NS. They're not going to have liquid cooling. Speculation is that they're not going to have liquid cooling. It's not going to have probably even a fifth gear. It will be only a 5-speed gearbox, because this bike is meant to take over from the Pulsar 220F. And as we know, the Pulsar 220F is an oil air cooled motor with 5-speed gearbox, and it's making about 20 PS. So I think, looking at the 220F, I think the 250 is going to fall in that zone. Having said that, if you can wait, I think you should wait for the 250s, because it's not that far away. We are looking at mid-October, October end to November. That's when the new Pulsars will come. It's not a long way away. And the NS and the RS are going to be on sale even when the 250 comes in. So you will be able to make a better decision by waiting. But if you don't want to wait and you just want to pick up a bike right now, I think the NS is where it's at. I know I own a RS, but I will not recommend the RS to people who are, I don't know if you're a new rider or you're an experienced rider, but the RS, it's very difficult to get the best out of it. Like I myself am finding it so difficult to get used to the power, get used to the weight. In that regard, the NS is way more simple. So I hope I have answered your question to the best of my ability. Very nice. Another nice, very nice. You sit there only. So the next two questions I'm actually going to combine it. Prasad asked me, should I buy the RS200 now and what's the maintenance cost? And Arnab Mishra asked me, is it worth to buy the RS200 in 2021? Let's take these two on. So Arnab and Prasad, the easy answer is, should you buy the RS200 in 2021? If you want a feature packed bike, no. Do not buy the RS200. The R15 V3 and the V4 are way more feature packed than the RS200. They offer you much more features. Of course, now the R15 V4 is significantly more expensive. It is going up to 2,10,000 and all on road. So it is more expensive. So if you want an expensive RS200 alternative with features in mind, R15 V4, that's it. I mean, but if you want a cheaper alternative, you get the Apache RTR 200 4V, because that thing offers you adjustable suspension, Bluetooth connectivity, such a good, beautiful console, riding modes, good tires, and it's been updated. So basically, TVS is the future for the product. Because Prasad asked me about the maintenance cost. RS200 is fairly easy to maintain at this point because it's a very stable product. So parts are available, maybe not in the color, like I had problem with the colors of the parts, but parts are available. Like major engine components you will not find shortage, and in the future it's going to be easier to maintain. I said it even in the last video. It's going to be easier to maintain the RS and the NS because now both of them are fuel injected. They are more or less running the same engine. Profiting is different on the NS and RS. So yeah, you can buy the RS if you're not a person who doesn't like features. But mostly people today, they go for features. And the R15 V4 really has a lot of features. I mean, riding modes now, upside down forks, better aerodynamics, Bluetooth connectivity, a lot of features. VVA technology, there's a lot of features going for it. So definitely the R15 V4 is where it's at if you want an expensive RS200 replacement. But if you see all the tests that have been done drag race wise, just performance and 0 to 100 timings, even though it's irrelevant, the RS200 is more powerful, the RS200 is far more capable. So the reason I would recommend the RS200 to you, the only few reasons is it is more powerful, it is a very comfortable bike. The NS200 does that thing as well. But if you want a touring machine, then yeah, the NS200 you'll have to modify it a bit. But the RS200 is just as capable for touring. If you want versatility and jack of all trades, then RS200 is where it's at. And if you want to save a little money and still want jack of all trades, then NS200. So let's take this question from Dwayne Muzello. He's a friend and a subscriber as well. And he asks, if not RS200, which bike would you go for? So I think I've said this in my vlogs previously as well. If it wasn't for the RS200, I was definitely, and I was waiting, hopeful that KTM would launch an Adventure 200cc. But that didn't happen. Obviously they launched the Adventure 250 and the 390. But yes, I was looking at the Adventure 250, but then the price was just too high, 2,30,000 on road for a 250cc motorcycle that I cannot use every day, because that's definitely not as efficient as this. That I really like the adventure format, so I would consider the KTM 250 Adventure if it wasn't for the RS200. And if the RS200 wasn't there in the market, then that was it. Because from a touring aspect, this is also good for touring, and the 250 Adventure can also do touring. But that is a slightly more adventurous motorcycle. This isn't. It's not adventurous. It's a road focus. But this can do touring because of its upright handlebars. So yes, I hope that answers your question. That's probably one of the only KTMs I would consider. The adventure format that KTM has right now is really, really good. And it makes sense in the Indian market. So the next one, Netaji 00 asked me R15 V4 or RS200 thoughts versus, R15 V4 versus RS200 thoughts. Okay. So the R15 V4 launched in 2021, so it's a newer motorcycle. In terms of design, yes, it's newer, but hardware wise it's running most of the same components that the V3 had. Engine being one of it, the frame also same, but yes, it is a step up, much better. It looks much better. I like the V4. The only thing is I would not buy the V4 because it is a feature loaded bike, but I'm not into certain features. Like I wouldn't want a motorcycle with Bluetooth, because what am I doing with it? My phone's in the pocket. Yes, I would like to see certain figures, maybe throttle and fuel efficiency figures, but I don't think that is a deal breaker for me. So that's why I wouldn't consider the V4. And power wise, if you've seen any of the latest videos of the drag races or whatever, the V4 has lost 0.2 PS of power, and Even though Yamaha is not claiming it, but I think it has gained some weight as well. So it is significantly slower in acceleration than even the V3. So I have no doubt in my mind that the RS200 is way ahead in performance. Maybe in top end the V4 will take it, but still, I mean, how many roads are you sitting at top end? But you have more usable power with the RS200 in that case, because again, the R15 V4, yes, it has VVA technology, yes, it's a 4-valve engine, and it's a great motorcycle in the top end. But that's the problem. It's a great motorcycle in the top end. It has top speed in the top end. But in regular use, if you ride the R15, it's not very tractable in traffic scenarios and all, because there's no grunt. It takes time. You have to keep revving the engine. Even with the RS, you have to rev the engine. But the RS at low end is decent. There's enough punch to keep going. The V4 is great, but I would not own one. I would just not own one, because at the price, I'm talking about the top end V4 M, it's coming at about 2,10,000. Dude, I would get the Dominar 250 for that. It's got a slip clutch, it's got way more power, it will absolutely slay the R15. It's much more comfortable 250cc motor. Yes, efficiency will take a hit, but yeah, for that price, So yeah, I like it. It's a good option, and I know Yamaha will sell a lot of V4s, but I'm not one of the customers. So that character that says, see a lot of people saying, "Oh, R15 has a top end." Why would you want to race, man? You're sitting on a 220, such a respectable bike anyway. You don't have to prove a point. Just because I'm recording a video, you don't have to prove a point.
So the last question, and probably one that is more future oriented, is from Eric. And Eric, obviously long time subscriber, he asked basically to the lines of, when will electric vehicles reach the level of performance that something like the NS125 has today, in terms of price, acceleration, speed. So in terms of acceleration, I think the EVs are already there. They can really push acceleration numbers. Yeah, I mean, you look at the Ather, it will absolutely kill a scooter in acceleration, because it is that quick. Electric motors, by virtue of not having any gears and not having to be revved up to that level, are inherently faster in acceleration. Speed, however, so the higher the speed, the more the battery runs. That's how EVs work. So a lot of the EVs are capped at about 80 to 90 kilometers per hour, and really at that speed is when they start losing on range. So to answer the question, I think 3 to 4 years is what I'm looking at, because the range of EVs needs to go up, the charging times need to go down, and your average or top speeds that the EVs can hold has to be significant. Like 100, 110 is what most people would like if they are going to take that bike anywhere out of the city. That is what they would need. And top speed doesn't really mean that you're going to ride it at that speed, but it means that you have significant power left over. If you're cruising at 60, you have enough juice left in the motorcycle, EV, whatever, to overtake a truck or another vehicle. And that's not there with EVs right now. Maybe Ather does that for a little bit, but then again the range is compromised on that. So it'll take some time, and as we know that standardization is coming in. So a lot of things, once they're standardized, like your charging port, once that is standardized, things move faster from there on. Before you had different types of phone chargers, and then micro USB became standard, and then you've seen the battery capacities go up, more phones, and now you have USB Type-C. So that's standardized. Now you have bigger batteries, faster charging. So it depends on how fast the standardization happens and how fast the lithium ion batteries can keep up, or maybe it will be another fuel in the future. But it will take some time, and that's why I think a small capacity, for you especially, a small capacity petrol engine would make sense. Like a 125 would totally make sense, because it would do a lot of things right for the next 10 years to come. If you buy a 125cc motorcycle today for commuting, for regular use, I think for the next 6 to 7 years you would not have to look at it. You would not have to look at an EV, because that thing will be so efficient. And petrol prices being where they are and assuming that they will go higher, you will still not feel the pinch. So that is all for this video, guys. I will see you in the next one. This has been a particularly long video, but I hope you'll enjoyed it because I'm answering your questions and what you all have to say. So the guys who have asked the questions, please do leave a comment if you all have any more questions. I will see you in the next one. Like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff, and I will see you in the next one.
7.5 at the top end. Why are you